Kleppers Corner, today in the news, August 24, 2025. Welcome back to Kleppers Corner, where we take the world's biggest stories, chew them up, and spit them out like sunflower seeds of despair. And folks, today is a wild one. We've got Ukraine celebrating Independence Day with fireworks nobody wanted, Trump threatening to turn Chicago into a live-action Call of Duty map, and America's conspiracy machine eating itself alive with the Epstein Files fiasco. Oh, and because the world is weird, NASA sent 1,500 tortillas into orbit because nothing says progress like burritos at zero gravity. So let's dive in. Segment 1, Ukraine's Independence Day under fire. Ukraine turned 34 today. Happy birthday, here's 72 drones and a ballistic missile. Russia decided to celebrate Ukraine's Independence Day the way your divorced uncle celebrates Christmas, with too many cheap gifts that explode. Overnight, 72 drones, 1 ballistic missile, multiple artillery barrages. Ukrainian air defense did their job, took out 48 drones, but plenty got through. A drone even hit a minibus in Dnipropetrovsk, killing a 59-year-old man. Shelling in Kherson killed another, left 17 wounded, and destroyed a school. Imagine going to homeroom only to find out the Russians graded your building an F. Meanwhile, Ukraine hit back with drones of their own, targeting Russia's Kursk nuclear power plant. It sparked a fire and forced operators to scale down capacity, which means in Russia, nuclear power is now nuclear-ish. Russia claimed they captured 2 settlements in Donetsk. Ukraine said, "Cool story, bro," and took one back in Dnipropetrovsk. The front line is like a tug of war where neither side has the strength, so everyone just gets rope burn. And the drone war is expanding. Ukraine's drones struck Bryansk, Belgorod, even one shot down near Moscow. Russia shut down airports across central Russia. You know your airspace security is bad when Ryanair suddenly looks organized. At this point, the war is attritional. It's 2 guys locked in a bar fight, 3 hours in, too drunk to land a knockout, just trading sloppy punches. The casualty figures? Over 1 million combined killed or wounded since 2022, which is horrifying. And the worst part? It's starting to feel normal. Diplomatically, America's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, gave Ukraine a Hallmark card. Congrats. Sovereignty matters. Stay strong. Love USA. Zelensky begged the global south for support because nothing says peace process like asking Brazil if they want in. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal says the Pentagon is quietly blocking Ukraine from using long-range American missiles on Russian soil, which means the U.S. is like that overprotective parent saying, you can fight the bully, but don't hit him too hard, he might sue. Segment 2, Trump versus Chicago. Back home, the Trump administration wants to send thousands of National Guard troops to Chicago because nothing fixes crime like troops who thought they were signing up for hurricane duty but end up patrolling deep dish pizza joints. The White House says it's about crime, homelessness, immigration. Chicago says, we just figured out recycling, leave us alone. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker accused Trump of manufacturing a crisis, and he's right. If Trump manufactured crises any harder, he'd qualify for federal tax credits. Legally, this is messy. The president can federalize the Guard, but that's usually for things like invasions or insurrections. Trump wants to use Title 32 authority. Troops remain under state control, but the feds pay the bill, which is ironic because Trump paying bills is the least believable part of this story. Mayor Brandon Johnson called the plan unlawful, uncoordinated, and unsound, which also happens to be Trump's Tinder bio. Look, Chicago has problems, but sending thousands of Guard troops without the governor's consent, that's not law and order, that's cosplay dictatorship. Imagine being a guardsman thinking, finally my training pays off, and your assignment is babysitting Wrigley Field tailgaters. Segment 3, the Epstein Files implosion. Meanwhile, the administration is drowning in the swamp it built, the Epstein Files. For years, Trump and his allies promised to release a secret client list, the bombshell to end all bombshells. His fans waited like it was the Avengers' endgame of conspiracies. Instead, what did we get? A DOJ memo in July saying, actually, there is no list, nothing here, thanks for playing. And suddenly Trump's base was like, wait, you mean we are the deep state now? Pam Bondi had hyped it up for months. It's sitting on my desk. Turns out the only thing on her desk was a Chick-fil-A wrapper. Congress issued subpoenas. The DOJ handed over files that were 97% recycled junk. Democrats called it a cover-up. Republicans called it betrayal. Social media called it Epstein Gate 7.0 and went back to sharing photoshops of Kamala Harris at Little St. James. Here's the irony. Trump weaponized the conspiracy for years. Now it's backfiring because once you teach people to distrust everything, they also distrust you. It's like feeding a toddler nothing but sugar and then being shocked when they throw a chair at Chuck E. Cheese. The Epstein Files fiasco is less about sex crimes and more about institutional collapse. If the DOJ says no list, half the country says cover-up. If the DOJ said there is a list, the other half would say cover-up. At this point, the only thing Americans agree on is that nobody trusts anybody. Segment 4, SpaceX and the taco apocalypse. And then there's space, because thank God for space. At 2:45 a.m., SpaceX launched its 33rd cargo mission to the ISS. Over 5,000 pounds of supplies, cutting-edge experiments in regenerative medicine, 3D metal printing, orbital computing, and, this is real, 1,500 tortillas. 14 entire tortilla bags. We have officially reached the stage of human progress where tacos are a logistical priority in orbit. Forget the moon landing. The real triumph of civilization is taco night at 17,500 miles an hour. Also on board, a boost kit so the Dragon capsule can raise the ISS's orbit. That used to be Russia's job, but now, America. Which means Putin is watching Tortilla Night from the Kremlin, muttering, first they take McDonald's, now this. The ISS is becoming less about science and more about industry. Bioprinting organs, manufacturing stem cells, building orbital data centers. Soon, space won't just be about exploring, it'll be about selling you Wi-Fi at 300 miles up. Bezos is probably watching this like, how can I ship Prime packages via zero-G? Still, it's progress. While Earth argues about Epstein's imaginary files, space is up there making burritos and curing heart disease. Honestly, let's move humanity to orbit and leave Twitter down here. Segment 5, the regional roundup. Meanwhile, in Indiana, lawmakers are debating medical debt reform. Indiana ranks 11th worst for residents in collections. One lawmaker said people were choosing between groceries and medical bills, which is insane because Indiana's grocery bill is just corn and Bud Light. Ideas on the table: cap monthly payments, limit wage garnishments, maybe stop putting liens on people's houses because they had an ambulance ride. Revolutionary concepts like don't bankrupt grandma for breaking her hip. They'll revisit it September 9. And if you're in Indiana, good luck holding your breath until then. Internationally, in the Czech Republic, it was so cold on August 24th that frost hit 14 stations. Frost in August. Climate change is drunk. India started building iPhone 17s in Bengaluru because Apple needs a factory far from China and Tim Cook needs a reason to learn Bollywood dance numbers. The U.S. Postal Service suspended shipments to India, which means your aunt's care package of peanut butter and socks is now officially contraband.
Segment 6, the weird news bits. Finally, the weird side of the news. In Bangkok, an Indian groom arrived at his wedding in a Batmobile, which is either the coolest barat ever or proof that Bruce Wayne really does need therapy. Florida stayed Florida. One man stole a skid steer, smashed into a college, then stole a city truck. Another spent a year timing sprinklers to drench disabled kids. Forget Batman, Florida already has villains, and they're armed with irrigation systems. And Skywatchers got a black moon on August 23rd, which sounds spooky, but really just means extra new moon in the season. Basically, astronomy's version of buy 3, get 1 free. In closing, so that's the world on August 24th, 2025. Ukraine marks Independence Day under fire. America argues over Epstein's imaginary binder. Trump wants to federalize Chicago. NASA launches tacos into space. Indiana debates whether to stop bankrupting sick people. And Florida continues to be America's weirdest theme park. The present is chaos, the future is tacos, and trust is in shorter supply than tortillas on the ISS. That's today in the news. That's Kleppers Corner.